Every one of us has the same 24 hours in a day. No one gets more. No one gets less. It doesn't matter if you're a billionaire, student, an entrepreneur, or just trying to get by. The clock ticks the same for all of us. But why is it that some people are able to build empires, master their craft, and live life on their terms, while others stay stuck in a cycle of frustration and stagnation? The answer is simple. It's not about how much time you have. It's about what you do with it. As legendary coach John Wooden once said, don't mistake activity with achievement. Because the truth is, being busy isn't the same as being productive. And time management isn't just about discipline. It's about design. It's about intention. It's about aligning your hours with your values, your vision, and your mission. So today, let's break down how successful people actually use their 24 hours. And more importantly, how you can too. They start with clarity, not chaos. Success doesn't begin in the hustle. It begins in the mind. Before a successful person even checks their phone, opens their laptop, or walks out the door, they've already decided how their day will go. You see, average people react to life. They wake up late, scramble to get ready, and let the world tell them what's urgent. But successful people, they respond with clarity. They wake up with purpose, not panic. They create their day before the world can consume it. They don't ask, what do I have to do today? They ask, what matters today? They review their goals, visualize their future, and align their actions accordingly. Whether it's journaling, a morning routine, or reviewing a to-do list. The night before, clarity is their anchor. Without clarity, you drift. And if you drift long enough, you end up in places you never intended to be. Clarity gives you focus. Focus gives you power. Because when you know what you want, every distraction becomes easier to ignore. And that leads us right into the next habit. They prioritize the hard things first. The difference between a successful person and an average one isn't talent. It's how they use their best hours. When you wake up, your energy, focus, and decision-making power are at their peak. Successful people understand that, and they take advantage of it. They don't start the day checking emails or scrolling social media. They start with the hard, important, uncomfortable things. Why? Because they know one truth. Most people avoid. What's hard to do is usually what's most valuable. Whether it's launching a new idea, having a tough conversation, doing deep creative work, or learning a new skill. Successful people attack it when their mental fuel tank is full. It's not that they don't feel fear or resistance. They feel it and do it anyway. They understand that procrastination is the enemy of progress. And the longer you delay what matters, the more power it gains over you. They use the morning to conquer the mountain. Because once the biggest task is done, everything else feels lighter. Start your day with discipline, and you'll end it with momentum. And here's what really gives them the edge. 3, they say no more than they say yes. If you want to take control of your time, you have to learn one of life's most powerful skills, saying no. You don't need to do more. You need to stop doing the things that don't matter. Successful people are ruthless with their time. They understand that every yes is a trade-off. You can't say yes to every invitation, project, or favor, and still expect to have time for your own goals. They say no to distractions, drama, busy work, energy drainers, and even good opportunities that aren't the right opportunities. Because every moment spent doing what doesn't serve your future is a moment stolen from what does. No is not rejection. It's protection. Protection of your time, energy, peace, and priorities. Think of your time like a vault. Not everyone gets access. You're not being rude when you set boundaries. You're being serious about your purpose. And here's the secret most people miss. The more clearly you know what to say yes to, the easier it is to say no without guilt. So if you want to use your 24 hours like the top 1%, you remember this. Start with clarity. Tackle what matters first. And don't be afraid to protect your time like your future depends on it. Because it absolutely does. 4, they schedule recovery just like work. Here's a secret that successful people understand early on. Rest is not a reward. It's a requirement. The hustle culture will tell you to grind nonstop, sleep when you're dead, and glorify burnout like it's a badge of honor. But the most successful people in the world don't operate that way. They know that peak performance doesn't come from constant output. It comes from strategic recovery. Think about it. No elite athlete trains 24 hours a day. They train, then they recover, because they know that growth doesn't happen during the workout. It happens during the rest. It's the same with your mind, your energy, your creativity. You are not a machine. You're a human being, and you can't pour from an empty cup. So what do successful people do? They schedule their recovery. It's not accidental, it's intentional. They block time for sleep, walks, play, journaling, silence, hobbies, nature, deep breathing, whatever fills their soul and recharges their body. And here's the best part. They don't feel guilty about it because they know rest isn't laziness. It's what allows them to operate at full capacity when it matters most. If you want to work like the top 1%, you also need to recover like the top 1%, because energy is the currency of high performance. And protecting it is not optional. It's essential. 5, they live proactively, not reactively. Average days are driven by reaction. Your phone buzzes. You check it. Someone calls. You answer. An email comes. You drop everything and respond. You scroll social media, answer DMs, chase fires all day long. And by the end of it, you feel busy, exhausted, but nothing important actually got done. Sound familiar? Now contrast that with how successful people move. They don't live in reaction mode. They live in intention mode. They decide what their day is for before anyone else does. They set the tone instead of being pulled in 1,000 directions. They choose when to check email. They choose when to take meetings. They choose how their hours are spent. Successful people don't let the urgent distract them from the important. They live by calendars, boundaries, and blocks of focused time. They run their day, or they don't run at all. The average person waits for life to happen. The successful person makes life happen. This is where the real shift occurs. From being driven by notifications to being driven by purpose. From reacting to whatever shows up to proactively building the life they want. And when the day is done, they don't just crash on the couch. They do something that might surprise you. 6, they reflect before they rest. Here's a small habit with a massive impact. Successful people pause at the end of the day and reflect. They don't just let the day blur into the next. They take a moment, sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 20, and ask, what did I accomplish today? What didn't get done? And why? What can I improve tomorrow? What am I grateful for right now? It's a simple habit, but it sharpens everything. Because without reflection, your days become a blur. You miss the patterns. You repeat the mistakes. You forget what actually matters. Reflection brings clarity. And clarity builds confidence. Every day becomes a lesson, and every lesson compounds. They might write it in a journal or just think it through over tea. But one thing is certain, they don't end the day mindlessly. They end it mindfully. And this is why their progress feels steady. Because they're not just running through life, they're learning from it. And that's the mindset that creates not just success, but sustainable, meaningful success. 7, they move with intentional energy. If you observe truly successful people closely, you'll notice something unique. They move differently. They walk into a room with presence. They sit down with purpose. They speak with clarity. They act like their time matters. Because it does. That's called intentional energy. And it's not just a vibe, it's a strategy. See, the average person just goes through the motions. They wake up tired, rush out the door, do what they have to, and crash into bed, wondering where the day went. But the successful person, they bring purpose into every motion. Even in the little things, how they greet someone, how they show up to a meeting, how they treat themselves when no one's watching, because they understand how you do one thing is how you do everything. They don't just chase energy, they create it. Whether it's through a morning routine, breath work, gratitude, visualization, or just moving their body intentionally. They cultivate inner power before the world asks anything of them. Intentional energy is magnetic. It's what makes people listen when you talk. It's what turns a small task into something extraordinary. And more than anything, it keeps you focused. Because when you're deliberate with your energy, you stop wasting it on people and things that don't matter. It's not about doing more. It's about doing things with clarity, presence, and purpose. 8, they eliminate decision fatigue. Have you ever felt exhausted by the end of the day, even if you didn't physically do much? That's decision fatigue. Every choice you make, from what to eat for breakfast, to what clothes to wear, to which email to answer first, it chips away at your mental clarity. And most people spend their energy on tiny, low-impact decisions, leaving them burned out when it's time to make the big moves. Successful people, they flip the script. They reduce unnecessary choices so they can focus their brain power where it actually counts. Look at some of the world's most successful figures. Many of them wear similar outfits every day. Why? Not because they lack style, but because they don't waste energy choosing a shirt when they need that energy to build an empire. They automate small things. They batch tasks. They use checklists. They build systems so they don't have to reinvent the wheel every morning. Because the fewer decisions you have to make about the unimportant, the more power you have for what truly moves your life forward. Simplicity is not laziness. It's intelligence. They keep their mornings sacred. They meal prep. They set up their environment to support focus, not distraction. So if you're spending your best brain hours wondering what to wear, what to eat, what to do next, it's time to simplify. Your energy is too valuable to be wasted on things that don't push you toward your vision. 9, they use time as a mirror, not just a tool. Most people see time as something they use. They fill it, stretch it, chase it, complain. They don't have enough of it. But successful people see time differently. They see it as a mirror. They ask themselves, where did my time go? What does it say about what I truly value? If someone followed me for a day, what would they learn about me? Time doesn't lie. It shows you exactly what you're prioritizing. Whether you admit it or not, you say family is important, but do you spend time with them? You say you want to start that business, but how many hours last week went to Netflix instead? You say you want to get healthy, but did you make time for exercise? Time doesn't care about what you say. It reflects what you do. This is where successful people get brutally honest. They audit their calendars the way a business audits its books. They look at their week and ask, did my schedule match my vision or my distractions? And then they adjust, not with guilt, not with shame, but with clarity. Because if your time isn't aligned with your values, it's time to realign. Use your 24 hours to reflect your highest priorities, not your lowest impulses. Your 24 hours are your power. Now listen closely. At the end of the day, there's one thing you can never buy, never borrow, and never get back. Once it's gone, time is the great equalizer. The millionaire and the man sleeping on the street, they both get 24 hours. The CEO building an empire and the student trying to pass their exams, 24 hours. You sit. And everyone you admire, envy, or look up to, all running on the same clock. But what separates the extraordinary from the average isn't luck. It isn't talent. It's what they do with those 24 hours. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't ask permission. They don't waste energy wishing things were easier. They decide, they act, they move. And if you want to change your life, if you want to stop surviving and start thriving, that's your power too. Let this sink in. Every hour you waste doubting yourself, scrolling aimlessly, delaying your dreams, that's not just time lost. That's potential wasted. That's wealth not built. That's growth that never happened. But the beautiful thing, you don't need to wait until Monday. You don't need to wait for the new year. You don't need anyone to give you the green light. Your next 24 hours start now. So what are you going to do with them? Are you going to keep saying one day, or are you going to decide day one begins today? Because the truth is, success doesn't happen by accident. It's not something you stumble into. It's something you craft hour by hour, decision by decision, habit by habit. And the most successful people in the world, they don't have more time. They just use it better. So use this moment as your line in the sand. The moment you stopped saying, I'll try, and started saying, I will. Don't wait for the clock to force you. Own your time before time owns you. Start with clarity. Prioritize the hard things. Protect your energy. And let every single hour become a building block for the life you know you were meant to live. You have 24 hours. Use them like your future depends on it, because it does.